Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about this book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Mastering the Inner Game of Wealth. There that is, that's what it looks like. I will be putting this in as the thumbnail by Harv Eker. And this book does kind of echo some of the things we've heard in other books. It calls out the fact that 80% of people will never be financially free. They always will be beheld to something. I think with the current spending idea that you buy when you don't have the cash is going to keep people upside down for the most part. But people that are astute, it goes into a little bit of the thinking and the impacts on thinking in this book on what you do around money and wealth. So money, wealth, health, and happiness are a result of effort, which means if you want to have money, you have to put effort into it. If you want to put wealth, you have to put effort into it. If you want to have health, you have to put effort into it. And if you want to be happy, you have to put effort into it. The book goes into a couple different things from that. But basically, your inner world creates your outer world. Heard that in a lot of books before. How you think is going to impact you more than many other things. Whereas if you're positive all the time and try to have a positive outlook on things, you don't get as negative as you could be. And negative thought process is what limits you. Especially if in sales or in the professional world, you may get exhausted, you may get tired of dealing with it if you keep a negative attitude, versus when you're in a positive mindset, it does empower you to do more longer, and it helps you rest more adequately as well, so you can get back and hit it hard the very next day. Thoughts and feelings lead to actions, which lead to results. So how you think, how you feel will impact how you perform. This creates your financial blueprint, and that's what creates either your success, your struggles, or limits you financially. Your programming controls your thoughts and feelings. So I say often, watch what you ingest. Pay attention to your diet. And we're talking about what you say to yourself, the videos, TV you watch, the games you play, the things you do, the people that you have surround you. That's gonna help you either get to what you're trying to get to or limit you and keep you from it. Earn your money to drive your purpose. So the thought process is decide what it is you want to do. Create that picture in your mind, something that keeps you energized and keeps you motivated, and that becomes your purpose. And then that contribution, when you're striving to that goal, whatever that goal is in your purpose, it can come from a place of joy instead of a place of fear. And here's what I've learned in my lifetime. You're going to struggle off and on just because that's what life is. It's a series of peaks and valleys. And anyone that doesn't know that, they haven't hit the valleys yet, right? So life is a series of peaks and valleys. And ultimately, those peaks and valleys give us experience. And that experience is going to control how we kind of react to that same situation in the future. So if you can take that in stride and act out of joy and not fear, that will help you sustain that positive attitude, will get you to a greater place. Your income can only grow to the extent that you do. So the more you do, the more you expand your knowledge and your experience, the more your income can grow. And that's why typically men and women hit their financial stride between the age of 45 and 65. So those 20 years, that will be a period of time where most likely you're going to be able to earn more money than you have at any other point in your professional career. Don't let any thoughts live in your head that aren't beneficial. So what that means is no thoughts live in your head rent-free. Either they're going to help you or they're going to be an impact that is a cost to you, right? And use sales, for example. That's what comes to mind right now. If you're making phone calls and you stay positive in your mind, you'll be able to blow through 200 phone calls. If you're negative and the first rejection you get wears you out, then most likely you're not going to make it very far that day. The more calls you make, the more opportunity you have to make a sale. The less calls you make, the less. So that's just one example of how that's extremely pertinent in what you're doing day to day. Observe your thoughts and only empower those that empower you. Observe your thoughts. So pay attention to what you're thinking. Even keep a log. If you're in real bad shape where you think about negative things more often, you think about positive things, and you know that about yourself, then invest in a log. Have a log where you're writing down what you're thinking, as often as you can. And then you can see what's impacting those patterns. You can also see maybe what drives you into that process. I've talked to people before that on certain days, if a certain person wasn't at work, they enjoyed the day and it went great. So it was a person, it was something in the surroundings that impacted them, that changed their thoughts. So that's the other piece. And here's something that I would say beyond all things. That's kind of a victim mindset. Rich people and people that are successful create their own lives. So that's number one, is I create my own life. I'm responsible for what I've done. I'm responsible for what has happened to me, and I can create the change that takes me from where that at. That's thought process number one, for where I am. That's how you do that. You have to believe that you create your own life. When you're complaining, you become a magnet for issues. The more you complain, and if you're in a part of a group that goes and complains constantly, that's productive time that you're throwing away. So guess what? You're not improving your situation. It's better to take that time and get back after it and see if you can improve the situation. Two, rich people play the money game. They play to win, and to win is to be rich. Your goal must not to be just to have money. It must be to be free of debt, to have net worth that increases. So when we talk about rich here, we're talking about net worth. We're not talking about the amount of money that you've made, because it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. So remember, rich people play the money game to win and be rich. Rich people are committed to being rich, which means they don't buy things very quickly. They take their time. They don't pay full price for anything. The richest people I've met in my life didn't buy anything that wasn't used. And some of those people went to extremes, okay? So just know, you have to know what you want. And if being financially wealthy is that, then you have to pay attention to that and live your life to that. 4, rich people think big. You get paid big because of the value you bring. And we mentioned earlier that the more you're increasing that value, the more that pay increases. If you are a person that solves problems for a profit, that is the best category to be in. That is what I've tried to do with my life and my professional career. I've tried to be a person that solves problems for a profit. And I have made career choices even recently based on some of these thought processes. I'll share that when we get there. Rich people focus on opportunities. They make, keep, and invest their money. They get in the game, whatever that is, and they stay after it. 6, rich people admire other rich people. This was something that stood out to me in the book. So sometimes if people are wealthy, people dislike them simply because they're wealthy. I've found myself possibly in that pattern in the past. Instead of thinking, wow, this person did something. So for example, Jessica Alba, right? She's got a multi-billion-dollar makeup industry now, apparently, product line. I never thought, much of her other beyond that she's just some other bathing suit wearing actress. That's literally all I thought about Jessica Alba. But that example is one that stood out to me. So wow, there was actually an opportunity maybe to learn something about what she did or how she did it and the money she made, because the net worth and the value of that business is extremely strong. So just something to think about. You may not focus on the positives of a certain person, but there may be more to them than that actually could be something you can mirror, mimic, or think is a mirror, mimic or imitate or learn from those things, right? So something to think about that. Rich people associate with positive, successful people. I think that's true for the most part. Rich people are willing to promote themselves their value. And that leads to more money and to fans, or now followers is what they call that, right? They're willing to promote themselves. You'd be amazed at how many people think it's inappropriate to promote themselves. And especially with the proliferation of social media, where you have all the people that you're friends and all this jazz from your previous lives and etc. They're afraid to put stuff about what they do for a living on there. I don't that often. I don't sell on social media, but what I do occasionally is post, hey guys, it's this time of year, right? For instance, insurance. It's about to be open enrollment for this year. Depending on where you watch the video, the last quarter of the year is when that happens, where people set up their insurance policies for the very next year. So every year about this time, I send something up, say, hey guys, let me know if anybody needs some help, please send them my way, etc., etc. That self-promotion just reminds people, hey, this is what he does for a living. I don't see any problem with that, and I don't see why people do. People post their most personal things online all the time, where they're complaining about a family member or their kids or their husband or wife or whatever that may be, which should be private, but they put it out there public, yet they're afraid to then go ahead and try to self-promote for what they're trying to do to give themselves a more positive outlook. So just something to think about there. Rich people are willing to promote themselves and their value. Rich people are bigger than their problems. Rich people are bigger than their problems. So people that complain constantly without coming up with any resolution or solution. It seems like their lives are too big for them to handle. The best quote I can give you is I heard someone say one time, "My life is not my own." So this person was such a victim that the choices they made daily were so big that they now claim my life is not my own, which I thought was ridiculous. End of the day, you decide what it is you're putting your energy to. You decide how the attitude's going to be around that. So that's just something I think would be a worthy call out. Rich people, successful people are bigger than their problems. Their outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So if your problems are too big for you to handle outside in the world, that means mentally in your head you have an issue too. It's better to be positive and be able to handle those things and come from a better, stronger standpoint than to be a victim. Rich people choose to get paid based on results. This is the one thing I was saying earlier. I actually decided to leave a position where it was salaried and paid very well, and but I had to deal with a lot of corporate nonsense, a lot of bureaucratic nonsense, a lot of red tape, and some things that I considered toxic. And I left that world to get back into a world where I was more on my own production and results, and working as a contractor, working as a consultant, and working as an insurance person. Because the better you do things, the better you get paid. If you're in a corporate hierarchical structure where you got somebody who gets in the way of every decision you make, but then wants to hold you accountable based on what they limited you to do, that's a freaking problem, because you're never going to have the results that you actually could have there. And I tell you what, if you look around, most of the other teammates are not very happy with the situation either because of that toxicity and limitations of the environment. So to be successful and have the positive mindset, you may have to change your location. And rich people choose to get paid based on results. So if you know something is impacting your results, which is what was happening to me, you have to pick that up and leave. You have to get somewhere where you can have the results. Why? Because of the age that we said, 45 to 65 is where people get the stride in their income. You cannot give up those years to something that's going to underutilize you and underpay you, because that's that cap max, right? You got all the experience that you've stacked up in life. Now you're at that point where you should be earning. So if something's in your way or limiting your productivity, that's something you should consider. Obviously, these are my opinions, so you make those decisions based on you, but I would think that's pretty solid thinking. Choose to get paid based on my results. Think both. Win-win. I want it all. So losers, or those that are poor, is what it says. And it's not saying being poor is bad here. It's just saying the thought processes are bad. I think either or. Like, either I have to get this or they will. You know, whereas winners, and this is across all business and in all, even relationships, from interpersonal relationships, win-win is much better. Why does it have to be either or? Why can't it be both? Why can't you have the whole picture? Why can't you have your cake and eat it too? Is I guess the best suggestion. Want it all and figure out how to get there and make it work out for everyone. Rich people focus on their net worth. I will say this: if you don't know how much you're worth, you need to look into that. So take your net worth, your assets, your income, etc. Take what you owe, your debts, etc., and add those things up and see where you're at. Are you negative? Are you positive? Is there money there? Is there an emergency fund? Do you have something where if you leave a job, are you stuck? Or do you have a year or 2 years where you can work on your own and build something? How does that look to you? So think about those things. You focus on your net worth. You pay more attention to it. When you start focusing on your net worth, you stop spending money on crap you don't need. Or you think of options where you're paying less for it. You buy low and sell high. The thing about money is you make it when you buy things, not when you sell it. When you buy something, you've set a mark. The lower you buy it for, the better upside there is to it, is the suggestion that's there. Focus on your net worth. Rich people manage their money well. Pay attention to it. Inspect what you expect. If you're not paying attention to it, you can't increase your income, savings, and investments and decrease your cost of living if you're not paying attention to it. And you do all those things, you're simplifying your life and you're making your money situation much easier. Rich people let their money work hard for them. So that's through investments, buying investment properties, investing in businesses, doing things of that nature where they can be in two places at one time. You're over here earning more money, but in the meantime, your money is over here earning more money itself. So you can be in two places at one time. Rich people act in spite of fear, whereas other folks that aren't aware, and that's the other thing too, think about it. If you work on your finances and you have some money there, if you have something to fall back on, you have an emergency fund, you don't have to be afraid anymore. If you are in a bad situation from an employment standpoint that's toxic or not favorable or something you just hate doing, if you have money put aside, you can jump. You can jump without having something else. You can move. You just have to find something before that money runs out. So you have to find something the next 90 days or the next 60 days or the next 30 days or whatever that is. But the idea is, it says rich people act in spite of fear. Well, I think that's true, but I also think it's because less fear is there because they have those things put aside where they have the ability to jump. And I know this is a hard conversation to have if you're living paycheck to paycheck, but go back to what we said in previous videos. If you put a little bit aside a week, just a little bit, 20, 50 bucks a week, that adds up over time. And if you do that 3 and 4 years, you have a pretty good amount there, at least 60 to 90 days if you just put a little bit away at a time. And then when you get your income tax back, put 33% of that away if you're going to blow the rest, right? Pay down debt with 33%, blow 33% because it's what people do, and then put the other 33% away. If you do that in 3 or 4 years' time, if you did that every year, you'll be in a much better shape. That financial freedom will give you the opportunity to take some freedom and make some decisions that aren't fearful made decisions. And rich people consistently learn and grow. I will tell you this, the more time in my life that I spent focusing on learning and growing, the more money that I earned. And each gap that I was able to jump across to increase my education, including reading these books and doing these things, that's why I'm doing these videos. Because I spent so much time doing that, it did impact my quality of life and my earnings substantially. So that's our video for today. That book is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and that is by Harv Eker. If you like this and subjects like these, please like and subscribe. We're trying to get those subscribers up and share. I'm Ben. Be good.